Chapter 22, The Police. On Saturday, the police station is anticipating some news coverage of the incident with their rookie Jake Adams and Ethan Duncan. The police chief has informed the officers not to speak with anyone. Teddy is at the station waiting by Officer Wolf's patrol car. He wants to talk with him and find out if Rookie Adams has been suspended or fired. The officer walks by Teddy, making no comment about the rookie, but informs Teddy the police chief will issue a statement later on. Teddy contemplates making a ruckus in the police station, but thinks his behavior from yesterday would just distract from the rookie that tased Ethan. He decides to call Holly and persuade her to come to the station to cover the police chief's statement for her blog. Holly is studying for finals while listening to some inspirational music on her headphones when Teddy calls. She needs to relax and get her mind straight. It was very difficult to see the events of yesterday's incident unfold right in front of her eyes. For the last 2 months, she had researched this type of situation. But this was different. It is one thing to read about it and to see videotapes of these occurrences. It is entirely another thing to feel the atmosphere of disbelief and horror of someone you know personally being assaulted for absolutely no reason. She really didn't sleep well last night. She spent the first half on her knees praying for Ethan's recovery, and surprisingly, she prayed for the police involved. The other half of her night, she kept visualizing the scene over and over again. Holly doesn't hesitate after Teddy's call. She grabs her iPad to capture some video. She races out of the door and drives over to hear the police chief's statement. When Holly arrives, she sees Teddy sitting on the curb looking pensive. He walks over to her car. As Holly gets out of the car with her headphones still around her neck, she surveys the area looking for a podium, other reporters, anything indicating the chief will be making a statement. "What's going on, Teddy? Where is the press conference supposed to be?" asked Holly. Still in deep thought and seeming a bit out of it. "What?" responds Teddy. Realizing Teddy is not paying any attention to her, she is just quiet for a moment as they lean up against her car. This is a rush job. Nothing is thought out. Teddy needs to feel like he is doing something purposeful to keep his mind off the last image he saw of his friend. After a few moments, Teddy comes out of his malaise. "Officer Wolf told me the police chief is going to issue a statement," says Teddy. "When? Where?" questions Holly. "I don't know. Later on," he said. Oh my goodness, later on could mean anything. Today, tomorrow? My bad. It's all my fault. Everything is my entire fault, laments Teddy as he raises his voice. Holly knew exactly where this was going. Teddy feeling sorry for himself. In her mind, some of this is his fault. His drinking and disorderly behavior is entirely Teddy's fault. The police showing up is Teddy's fault. He needs to take responsibility for that. But the tasing of Ethan lies solely on this police department. Holly vacillates between letting Teddy have it as far as his role in the whole mess or comforting him. She really is torn. She, like Teddy, is frustrated, but she decides on the latter. She gives him a hug, then looks on her playlist for something that might speak to Teddy and lends him her headphones. Meanwhile, she walks up to the police station to see if she can get any information on when the press conference will occur. It takes a few minutes, but Holly emerges from the police station with a written statement the communications officer is handing out to the press. The statement basically sends out their prayers for the Duncan family, informs the public the incident is a top priority for them to review, and Officer Adams is on administrative leave with pay. The local news has already aired the information from the police chief. Holly and Teddy return to campus. Teddy is dropped off in front of the fraternity house. A few passerbys give Teddy a look of disappointment. He is not fazed much by people he doesn't even know. Teddy grew up with his grandfather, who was disappointed in everything and everybody. Teddy's mother, Teddy's father, and even Teddy. He knew he would be okay as long as his mother, Ethan, and his other fraternity brothers had his back. As he walks into the fraternity, he sees a couple of his frat brothers making posters and signs. Some say, "Justice for Ethan." Others have, "Ethan's life matters," and "Arrest Jake Adams." Teddy is unaware of the protest, and the fraternity is reluctant to tell him what is going on. Eventually, Teddy finds out they are going over to the police station to protest the lack of response against Officer Adams. Teddy felt a coldness from his fraternity brothers, so he went up to his room. He tried to call his mother, even though he knew she was at work. She didn't answer. Teddy just lies in his bed, staring at the ceiling. His initial thought is to go get a beer and try to forget his problems, but he figures that might not be the best idea, considering yesterday's events. He decides to stay in his room. As he hears the other fraternity brothers packing up their posters and signs to protest in the front of the police station. He watches them leave from his window. He lies back down and starts to hum this odd song that Holly played from her playlist at the police station. It was Marvin Sapp's "The Best of Me." When everyone else around me could only see the worst in me, he saw the best in me. At the apartment, Holly continues to center herself. The inspirational music helped her to some extent. She really needs to scream and yell to release her anger. She settles for writing down her feelings. She decides to tie her theory of cultural conditioning to the tasing of Ethan in her blog. HollyWoodwardBlogspot.com. First things first, my prayers are with Ethan and the Duncan family. I, along with many others, witnessed Rookie Adams tase Ethan Duncan. Obviously, I am very upset and dismayed. I know Ethan, and in my opinion, he is a decent young man. The only information I've found on Rookie Adams is he's 27 years old and has always wanted to be a police officer. My assumption is he might be an okay guy. There are countless stories of police shootings of unarmed African American males, so I will allow you to look online to see the video of what happened to Ethan on your own. My question is, why this happened and what can we do about it? Obviously, I don't have all the answers, but a large part of this is cultural conditioning. In short, cultural conditioning is to control one to think a certain way solely on the basis of one's race or culture. Specifically, in Ethan's case, think the worst whenever you see an African American male. So, what is the perception of blacks? They are angry, mean, and violent, all things negative. How and when did this conditioning take place? Let's see. The how? Through violence and total disrespect. The when? For a very long time. A few examples would include disrespecting the first black president by calling him a liar, black Secret Service agents not being served at Denny's restaurant, as well as my parents, draining swimming pools after blacks, Lena Horne and Sammy Davis Jr., used them, spitting and pouring drinks on African Americans' heads at lunch counters, spraying water hoses, burning down black businesses, Rosewood Massacre, lynching, shackling, and killing them, just to name a few. To me, what was done to black people is violent, mean, unintelligent, and promulgated by some very angry people. Remember, cultural conditioning is not factual or logical. It is narrow-minded thinking based on one's cultural background, and it limits critical thinking. The solution is to be a critical thinker. Critical thinking is making a judgment based on analyzing facts, not personal feelings or opinions, just facts. In Ethan's case, he was a young man concerned about his friend. He listened to the instructions of the police, picked up his gym bag, and moved back out of the way as instructed, is what he tried to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Before she changed her mind, Holly reviewed it quickly and then hit post. In chapter 22, Holly is upset and she blogs about cultural conditioning. In the comments below, share your opinion about cultural conditioning in the United States. See you in chapter 23.